Here we
on
are.
occasion.
Oh, beautiful.
We have a quail on a bed of fennel.
Oh, that looks
okay.
yummy.
Here is your duck leg confit on a bed of Savoy cabbage.
Oh.
And my name is Adam. If there's something else I can help you with, please
Oh,
don't
this is
hesitate to ask.
wonderful.
Oh, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Enjoy the
Thank you.
meal. You're welcome.
And so beautifully served.
Really. I love the design of the sauce on the plate and everything. That's
Yeah,
fabulous.
and what about the setting there? It's,
Yes.
it's artistic, isn't it?
Really artistic.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mary Michelle, it's a delight to have you here.
Oh,
You know, we've had these luncheons at the Hoppfields, and we had Morton Dean, who is, of course, a famous television star.
Exactly.
And we've had our dear friend Paul Bucher, who's a Congressional Medal of Honor winner. That's really another direction. And then we've had Terry Ellsbury, who's, as you know, the Reverend at St. Matthew's Church. And now we've got this beautiful lady here.
Oh, well,
And what a pleasure.
3 guys and a
and
lady.
this great setting with such wonderful food.
Yeah.
I don't know where to begin except to say our guest today is Mary Michelle Rutherford.
Oh.
And Mary Michelle, your background is so fascinating and so different in so many ways because as a child you were a television star, were you not?
Well, not exactly television. I did do modeling with my mother when I was very young. Actually, there was a story of me and Arthur Godfrey. We were supposed to go on the Arthur Godfrey show. And Arthur Godfrey wanted to cut my hair off. And I seriously loved my hair. I had very long, beautiful hair. And I guess there was a little bit of a altercation between my mother and Arthur Godfrey and the whole...
And who won?
Well, I didn't do the show, but I think I kept my hair.
But you've been you were a model when you were very young, were you not?
Yes.
And then as the years went on, you were on the cover of some magazines, as I remember.
Yes.
What was the cover?
I was on Elle, on the
Elle
cover of Elle.
magazine,
I was on the
yes.
cover of Ingenue and a couple of Brides magazines. And I worked in Europe. I worked for French Vogue and Italian Vogue and Elle and Marie Claire and lots of magazines all throughout
And
Europe.
I gather from what I've seen of your pictures that are on the screen at the moment, they were all kinds of pictures that you were, all kinds of costumes that you were modeling for, all kinds of moods that you were modeling for. So, I'm sorry.
The nature of modeling in the 70s, I think, was people were really trying all kinds of unusual, different kinds of photography. And a lot of the people that I worked with were really artists and took the kind of work that they did quite seriously, as well as the designers who were very, very talented. It's not unlike here. You know, there's great style and an appreciation of beauty with the beautiful flowers and the food. And I think the senses, you know, the nature of the 5 senses. And I don't know, I think photography is something that really can inspire you, and that's hopefully what they do some of the time, as well as sell the product, which is, of course, part of the
But
package.
you're talking about modeling for stills as such, photographs
Right.
as such. But
Right.
didn't you also do some commercials, as I
Yes,
understand?
I did. I did commercials both here in this country and abroad. I worked on over 40 movies in this country and also abroad. Never terribly big parts, but I did work. I was on Broadway. The commercial.
You were on Broadway, too? What
yes.
did you do on Broadway?
I was in a play called Wings. It was a rather serious play.
Didn't Howard Hawks do a picture called Wings at one point? I think so. But was
Yes.
it taken from the play, or was it
No, this was
an
an
original?
entirely different
What was
subject.
Wings about?
It was about a stroke patient.
Oh.
So it was, you know, quite a different. I think the one you're thinking of
It
is
was a
about
war
the
film.
war film,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. But this was interesting because, you know, it's very dear to my heart in the study of human nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that to understand how someone's mind works, and a stroke patient is someone that learns how to work with the other side of their brain. You know, usually what happens is one side gets destroyed, so they have to relearn how to think, how to speak, how to walk, and it's quite fascinating emotionally how they cope with it, psychologically.
Did you enjoy Broadway?
Very much.
You did?
Very much, yeah.
More than motion pictures?
Well, the theater's different, you know. The theater's,
Entirely.
yeah, it's like live TV. It's fun. You get to do things off the cuff.
Did any of these plays or musicals, I guess in some cases you were in musicals too?
No, I wasn't
just
never-
plays.
no.
Just plays. Did they have long runs?
Some did, you know,
Yeah.
not varying degrees, not a tremendous amount. I didn't do an awful lot of theater. I would have liked to have done more, but I sort of started late because I spent so many years as a model. So that kind of,
Now, when you talk about modeling, did you model in a great many countries?
yes. I modeled I was based in Paris for quite a long time. I spent 4 years in Paris. First, I went to school in Paris. I was at the Sorbonne. I studied the Cours de Civilisation Française.
Oh, then tell me about the food that we got here, please.
Well,
Please, tell me about it.
Well, it's been a long time ago, but I think that food
Can I
is...
taste some of it? And you
Oh,
tell me what
yes,
I'm
that's
tasting?
a good idea, yeah.
Tell me what kind of food we have,
Well-
Sorbonne style.
Well, the Sorbonne was really more about literature, but I did study cooking with Mappy, the Comtesse Toulouse-Lautrec.
The
So
Comtesse Toulouse-Lautrec, any relation?
she's related,
To the painter?
her husband was related to the painter.
Uh-huh.
But she understood quite a bit about cooking, and I think that food that you're eating there has a little bit of a Spanish flavor to it with the beans and the, is it
It
peppers?
also looks like a Toulouse-Lautrec painting.
It does look like a
It really
Toulouse-Lautrec
does.
painting, yeah. Fabulous.
And you having, what are you having?
I'm having the quail, and I see there some wonderful lentils in here, and there's some cabbage. Cabbage is, one of the great nutritious foods of the world. Let me taste it.
By Sorbonne standards, it's one of the best, isn't it? Good.
It's delicious, yeah. Yeah, well, the French eat a lot of cabbage, it's very much a staple
Oh,
of their
really?
diet.
Yeah.
And beans, of course.
But the restaurant is, as you know, what contemporary American is.
Contemporary American,
I mean,
yeah.
Hoppfield is really concentrates on a
Concentrates.
wide variety of food. This is delicious. And it's not only delicious, but it's so beautifully served, isn't it?
Really fabulous.
So there was the Sorbonne, right?
Right.
Now, was modeling most of your career in France, for example?
Well, what happened in those days was that you were based in one country, and then you would go and work in other countries. So,
Stop. Mayor Michelle, could you keep that answer in your mind, please? Can you turn a little bit towards me? Sure. Okay, now we have
How far in are we?
6 minutes to go.
Okay, good.
Okay, and
Good.
we'll give you time cues from right over here. Okay? Time
We'll
right
what?
in. We'll give you time cues from right here. Victor will stand right
Oh,
here.
Victor will do it. Okay. Oh, fine.
Like that.
That's great. Good.
Okay? So, Mayor Michelle, you ready?
right.
Hold on.
Wait a minute. The Sorbonne. Okay. When did it? Modeling one started in Paris. Okay. Based in Paris. Okay.
I'm rolling anytime.
Okay. So you would travel. You would go from Paris and you would go to Milan, or you would go to England, or you would go to, I did trips to Beirut, to Moscow, to Poland, the Far East.
These were for magazines?
Magazines, fashion shows, and some commercials as well. I mean, there were always commercials attached. They would try to combine with the big trips.
Well, now, I know you did one commercial that's a rather important commercial in your career.
Yes.
And I'd like, if I may, to show to our audience what you did for Frito-Lay.
Okay.
Great.
That gives you a lead in, okay? And you want me to pick that up from there?
Yes, please.
Will you tell me when?
Anytime.
Anytime?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't matter, okay.
Have we just watched the Frito-Lay commercial?
We watched the Frito-Lay commercial there.
Singular.
No, we'll say it, then we can
No, then I'm going to go on from there
and talk about
and
the
talk
other.
to the other one.
Very good.
Okay? And you want to show the other one too?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So we'll show the other one, and then I'll say
Okay.
something about the
Whenever
other
we
one.
start? Okay.
Are you
let-
going to show that one back to back with this
No,
one?
I'm gonna
You're
I'm
throw
gonna
it to
talk
another
about it,
one?
okay.
Very good,
Right.
okay.
Now, that was Frito-Lay,
Right.
and of course, as I understand it, that ran for several years, didn't
Yes,
it?
it
You
did. It
were
was
telling me
very
that.
successful. It won an award at Cannes.
It did?
Yeah, for best international.
Did you accept the award?
No, I had nothing to
they
do with
needed
it.
to send you to Cannes. Oh, what a shame. Now, at the same time, you were doing all kinds of other commercials. I mean, the Frito-Lay is good old potato chips.
Right.
But you also did some fancy commercial, as I understand. What was the name of the company?
It's a French mascara company. It's called Risil-Soie. Anyway, it's kind of a cute commercial, but there was this. Well, anyway, we'll have a look at it, right?
Oh, I think we've got to take a look at this one just by contrast, if
Right,
nothing
exactly.
else. Okay?
Good.
All right,
Another 30
now we're
seconds.
into that.
9:40. You've got 3.5 minutes to go.
That's all,
Yes,
huh?
sir.
Okay, now 3.5 minutes. All
Let's
right.
make it 4, okay? Just for the time
Okay.
that I wasted.
Well, Mary Michelle, that's your commercial career. Did you do any commercials beyond that? Was this at an early stage in your life, these commercials? Obviously they were, weren't they not? It looks that way to me.
It was a while ago,
It
yes.
was a while ago, but without counting the years. You didn't do many commercials after that, did you? It was mostly magazine work, was it not?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I did both. And
Did you do some commercials?
No,
Were there
no,
maybe
no.
little bits.
Yes,
Yeah.
little bits. Yeah.
weren't you intrigued by the power of television as opposed to the power of the magazine? Didn't you see that coming in a way? And you were on Broadway.
Right, and I've always loved television. I mean, I grew up on television. I think that television is a wonderful medium, and I would certainly like to do more with television, particularly...
I think you're a natural for television, forgive me. Not only because of your looks, if you'll forgive me, by emphasizing looks, it seems to be important in television, but in your career, which was tuned to show business in so many directions, at the same time, you've had a very serious part of your life, have you not?
Quite. I think so,
I mean,
yeah.
your interests are not alone at the show business level, but they're rather serious as well. And we're going to get to that later in the program. But for now, just let me say one final thing. What is your ambition at the moment?
Well, I think my ambition is, I enjoy making things beautiful, as this restaurant does. It's so wonderful.
And enjoying such good food.
And enjoying the good food and so
Yeah.
on. But I really think that it's important to take the nature of beauty and to have fun with it, but to also talk about it in a philosophical way. So I'm sort of interested in educational television that has to do with, telling ancient stories. Conversely, I'm also interested in the future, in scientific or sci-fi programming. I like, because I believe it's the same mythology. It's telling of a story. And I think more than anything, I think stories are what keeps us going. As you so often say, the play's the thing.
Play's the thing. Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. So I think that people need to hear about stories, but for me it's interesting to do it by working within the nature of existing tales, the ancient Greek mythology or Roman or Aztec or Persian. All of the great civilizations have had stories. And also to, talk a little bit about the future, as George Lucas has done with Star Wars or that kind of thing, using futuristic ideas. I think cartoons do that.
But in terms of television, it seems to me that, if you'll forgive me, I find that you're a communicator.
Right.
And you really want to be in touch with your audience. And your audience consists and includes, of course, the area. The food in the area. Hoppfield is such a wonderful country restaurant. You have friends here in the country. So you're really a neighborly type, are you not?
Definitely.
And that applies to television.
Mm-hmm.
To me, person to person and neighbor to neighbor is a good part of television.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your background in terms of your lifestyle. Forget
Yes.
about the modeling and the commercials,
Exactly,
etc.
yeah.
So there's lots to talk about in terms of you as and your interests. But at the moment, I think we ought to get to the food. Do you not?
Definitely.
I'm waiting for it. The food is
No,
waiting for us, and I'm waiting for the food.
It's hard to talk and eat at the
so let's
same
just
time.
take a brief
Yeah,
moment at
okay.
this point. Okay?
Great.
We'll be back.
Okay.
Right.
Great.
Okay?
Great close, yeah.
Now we'll get to astrology. Eat something. Go on. Make you feel better.
Well, Martin, they're sitting there looking at us.
Not now.
The gang.
Is it okay? Is it got everybody along?
It's very good.
It's okay? Now, what I want to do with Mary Michelle is return to her interest in astrology. I don't want to mention that and that alone, because I'd like to get some more of the broader interest,
Right.
as she started to say. And then I'll let her go through the various signs. I'll kid her along as we go through this, okay?
Okay.
Gotcha.
So when she starts, let her be eating, okay?
Yeah.
And I'll sort of
Yeah.
do it that way, all right?
Okay, correct.
Okay?
Good.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
And Hoppfield.
Yeah. Not enough yet?
No, that's perfect.
Okay. No.
But to start,
Whenever you're ready.
okay, I'll let you know.
You keep eating.
Okay, hang on now. Anytime you're ready.
Mary Michelle, I look at this food, and I look at the setting here, and I'm so pleased with myself. It seems such a beautiful day, and with such a beautiful lady, and with such great food. I'm born under the sign of Gemini, you've reminded me on occasion. Is it a good day for me because I'm Gemini, what is it about? What goes on here? Can I blame anybody for this?
Well, the nature of
I
Gemini
know I
is
can blame Hoppfield because they're wonderful.
they like to ask 3 questions at once. We got to bring this down to 1.
Well, now let me say
Okay.
this at the start, because for those who don't know you that well, you're very serious about astrology. And if I may say so, you're remarkable in terms of the deep interest you have. It's not the kind of thing that you read, if you'll forgive me, in some of the papers where, today is a good day to be kind to your mother, sort of advice. You're very serious about it. You take into consideration all the factors that are involved. And with very few exceptions, I must say that I find you remarkable. But you've studied astrology for a long time, have you not?
I have, and I think I've also studied human nature, though. I think in my travels, in my education, having been exposed to so many different kinds of people at a very early age.
All over the world.
All over the world, different civilizations, different languages, different ways of eating and dressing and drinking and everything. I think astrology just ended up being a language that I used to summarize.
A language?
A language.
I don't quite understand that.
Well, it's a language of symbols and imagery.
You mean it's means of communication?
It's a means of communication.
Okay, yeah.
So you can talk about a flower and the color of the flower, and you can relate it to a particular sign or a particular planet or a particular image. The flower can represent it's symbolic. Lots of times in the Hindu and the Buddhist tradition, the flower is what one meditates on, and the unraveling of the flower. And in all of these old traditions, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sufism, the Persians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Aztecs, every great civilization has in its studies also studied the stars. And it's amazing
Did
how...
the medicine man also relate to the stars?
Yes, of course.
Did he?
Yeah,
He did?
Yeah, all the shamans
I see. So
understood and would plant certain herbs and cultivate certain medicines and so on according to certain planetary formations. They didn't all use the same language. They would have different words that would correspond to the different, constellations.
Well, give me some examples, if you will, of how does it usually begin? What's the first sign?
The first sign is the sign of Aries.
And that's what birthdays is?
It's in the spring. It's the first day of spring. It's usually March 21st or something like that to April 21st. It changes every year.
Are there general characteristics for Aries?
Yes, there are general characteristics. And I think the first thing that I have to say about it is that it's ruled by the sign of Mars. Mars was the god of war.
Yeah.
So the nature of Aries is that it's very masculine. It's about initiating new projects. It's a fire sign, so there's this great surge of creativity and energy and people that like to not necessarily pick up the pieces, but like to get other people going.
Wow.
The next sign is the sign of Taurus, which is ruled by Mars's counterpart, Venus.
And what dates are those? Is it Taurus?
That's May, where am I? April 21st to May 21st.
Yes.
And Taurus is it's a very sensuous sign. It deals with the 5 senses. So all of what we're doing here today relates to the sign of Taurus.
You mean that Taurus would appreciate Hoppfield's food more
definitely,
than most?
More than most.
But not more than you and I.
Not more than you and me.
But more than most.
Yeah,
right? Mhm.
definitely.
Mhm.
But it's also ruled by this, I have to mention Venus, because Venus is what brings all the beauty to it. Venus, the goddess
Venus
of love and
relates to
beauty.
Taurus? That's
Yes,
it?
she
Mhm.
rules.
Yeah. She rules it, just
Taurus.
as Mars
Right.
rules Aries. Good.
And the
Now
next
you're
sign,
coming to my favorite sign.
Gemini.
Right.
You have a memory for this.
Yeah. May
Gemini's
20th to June what?
June 20th, more or
June
less,
what?
June 21st.
Yeah.
It's ruled by Mercury, so that's the sign of the communicator. Mercury was the messenger of the gods.
I didn't know
He would
that.
take...
Good for Mercury.
When
I'm glad
Jupiter
I heard
wanted to talk to Pluto, Mercury was the one that took the messages back and forth. But he was also the trickster, and he could also do 6 things at once. He was able to do a lot of juggle a lot of balls in the air, which,
President Kennedy was Gemini,
Right, exactly.
Bob Hope, Gemini. Some other important people
Yeah.
we may not mention. VIPs.
Right, exactly.
Okay, next.
The next sign is Cancer, which again relates to food. Cancer is the sign of the home and the hearth. It's ruled by the moon. And the mother. It's the mother figure. And really the first thing that we learn how to do in life is how to eat, how to take care of our natural functions. And anything to do with cancer is someone that understands intrinsically, may not be able to communicate it terribly well, but is someone that understands how to nurture someone else.
They would appreciate good food.
They would definitely
Hoppfield, they'll appreciate.
Exactly.
Right, okay,
right.
good. You see, I have one theme in mind.
Well, exactly. Well, you know,
Go
it
ahead.
relates. It
I know,
strongly
sure,
relates.
absolutely.
Okay, so the next
I'm a
sign.
communicator. Let's face it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next sign also relates in the sense that it's the sign of Leo.
Yeah.
July 21st, August 20th. Leo is the sign of parties, and I noticed they have a private room upstairs for
Yes,
private parties and so on.
yes.
So, but Leo might not want the party to be upstairs. He might want it to be downstairs,
Downstairs.
so that everybody can see him.
Everybody can see him,
Be in
yes.
charge and so on.
So is it Leo the lion in a way?
Leo the lion. It's ruled by the
see.
sun.
By the sun.
So it's fire, and it's very, it's a tremendous amount of energy, and usually people that like to have fun and like to spend time with children.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the sign of lovers.
Oh,
The next
a lot
sign,
of people want to think they will
well, exactly.
go
right.
into that sign. All right, let's go.
The next sign is Virgo.
Virgo. That's
Virgo.
supposed to be a very nice sign.
Well, you know,
No?
they're all nice.
They're all nice,
Everybody's,
yeah. You're
you
saying
know,
all the nice things anyway, yes.
Virgo is the constellation of Virgo is one of the more important ones, and the story is that Virgo dealt with the idea of perfection when she walked the earth to such a degree that she sort of threw her hands up, and the gods placed her permanently in the heavens in one of the most beautiful and brightest of the
And how does
constellations.
that reflect on the character of the person?
Well, Virgos, there is this need to be perfect.
I see.
There is this need to be very involved and be over anxious and caring, but also is
Sensitive too.
about communication.
Oh, it
Also
is.
ruled by
I see.
Mercury.
Mhm.
The next sign is Libra. The image of Libra is
Libra is
the
September?
scales. September 22nd through October.
October, right?
And Libra is also ruled by Venus. It's a sign of communicating because it's an air sign. So it's a little more. When Librans talk, usually it's about diplomacy. They know how to get along with people and make things nice. They will smooth over the rough edges. The next sign is Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going the other way. First, Libra was Venus and Scorpio is Mars. So the way that one thinks of Scorpio...
Now, Scorpio would be October 21st to November 21st.
November 21st.
Approximately, yeah.
Approximately. And Scorpio is the sign of rejuvenation. It's the sign of the fact that every day we have to go to sleep so that we can wake up the next morning. It's the sign of death and rebirth.
How does that apply to character?
Intensity. Someone that is involved and very interested in what makes people tick. Scorpio wants to know, wants to get to the heart of the problem. And sometimes
They make pretty good psychiatrists.
very good psychiatrists or detectives.
Or detectives, okay.
The next sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter. It's a fire
November
sign.
21st to December 21st.
Right. Jupiter was the king of the gods. Sagittarians are quite wise. The nature of them is that they like to know about a lot of different things.
They're not wise enough to avoid birthday gifts. Anybody born around that time, you have a real problem.
Well, this is true.
Yeah, but anyway, go ahead.
This is true. Well, they get presents all year round, probably.
Yeah,
They
I
set it
guess
up,
so.
set it up that way.
From the wisdom.
Exactly, from the wisdom. It also is the sign that rules doctors, lawyers, priests, higher learning. So Sagittarius is important for the nature of philosophy and the things that I love to talk about.
And now come the fellows who are really crazy. These get no gifts at all and then do nothing but parties, birthday parties. This is December 21st to January 21st.
Capricorn, yes.
Capricorn.
This is the winter
folks.
solstice. Yes, it's a tough time to be, I think. But they love the difficulty of things. Capricorn, they end up becoming the leaders of society. They become the ones that take charge after having worked so long and so hard at trying to overcome all the obstacles. It's an earth sign, and it's ruled by Saturn. The next sign is Aquarius. The movie Hair, they talk
yes,
about the
and
age
the
of Aquarius
song.
in the song.
And by the way, it's the time when the presidents birthdays celebrated, the
Well,
Washington and
the
Lincoln.
principles of this country are based on Aquarian principles, which are freedom, humanitarianism, and a certain kind of social or socialistic principles. Not social politics, but social caring, not about anarchy or one leader, but democratic principles. Those are all having to do with Aquarius and the planet Uranus, which was discovered about the time that this country was created in the 1770s. It's an air sign ruled by ancient ruler Saturn, new ruler Uranus. And the final sign is Pisces. Pisces is considered the
That would
dreamers.
be, what, February 21st to March 31st?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're considered the old souls. There's a tremendous amount of compassion. It's ruled by the planet Neptune. I don't know what else to say. They're people that understand. They take a lot of the needs and carings of other people on their backs, and lots of times Pisces suffer for that.
Well, all I can say is that the two of us, are born under a lucky sign
Yes.
because we have this wonderful food here in this great setting. And Mary Michelle, I want to thank you very much for being with us. I must mention, too, that I can't tell you how many people tell me they try to get to you on the telephone because they ask questions about themselves on WVIP. It's on radio and television on Mondays from 9 to 10 o'clock. But here at Hoppfield, I don't know what sign I'm born under, except to say it's very lucky to be here with such food that's waiting for us and such a great setting, country setting with country people. And thank you for being our guest today. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Right. We can keep talking this way and then... But I think you better...
Okay, let's go for the food.
That was great.
All right.
That was great.
I think the business of telling of signs was kind of interesting, wasn't it? And it worked out timing-wise okay.
Yes, it worked out perfect. Yeah, like to the second.
And I didn't hesitate to put in a plug,
It was good.
okay?
That was good.
That's great.
Was there enough Hoppfield?
Yes.
Yeah.
I counted 5
You think so?
times. 5 times.
Hey, Michelle, you're good.
Oh, thank you.
The Capricorn low.
Well,
thank you.
great.
Go to the Leo with the party.
Party.
Go up to the private room upstairs
That was
for
good.
their party. Very
That was too
good.
much. That was too much.
What it does is it makes it a part of you, really, because you tell all about yourself. And so,
Oh, Martin, I think it's great. I really do. I think it's wonderful.
don't you think so, Walter?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. You come across very well.
Whatever you do, you have to keep on your resume tape. And what better thing on your resume tape than something about you?
You say, here it is.
Here I was, interviewed.
And show me what I look like.
In the water, does this mean that it goes through a cheesecloth? Tell us what filtered water actually means.
It's a good question.
It means the water's treated. To get these particles that are in the water out now, you have to add chemicals like alum or ferric or something to make the stuff stick to it. The fine stuff that bumps into one another. When you have alum in the water, they start sticking together. The particles get bigger, they fall out. And it's called pre-treatment. Then the water, we're going to have a dissolved air flotation plant. What that means is the water goes through a train, there's bubble oxygen in it.